Right, should be all good to go. Are you ready to get into it?
Yeah, yeah, good to go.
Brilliant. How are you keeping anyway?
Yeah, grand, sure. Just sorry yesterday, so.
Fair,
But yeah, no, grand anyway.
fair enough. I'm not one for big introductions, but just for the interview itself, BP, one of the longest standing members in the scene, T.O. that's pretty much carrying Leinster in my opinion. It's a delight to have you.
Yeah,
Yeah, I've got a bunch of questions. I'm going to start off with some ones that are mostly about you and then go into ones that are about tournament organizing in general. If there's anything that you want edited out or anything, of course, give me a shout,
yeah,
but should be all good. So you're one of the few members I would say who's still about that's, older than me in the scene because I've been around for a fair minute. Um, just tell me about when did you start as a player and then when did you start as a TO? Just kind of give us the timeline there for those who don't know.
so I started in, uh, I think I first became aware of kind of like the competitive scene generally in like 2014. So I think watched a lot of Project M videos on YouTube, and then first Irish tournament was at the Woolshed Bar. It was a charity one organized by Mike Kenyon.
Very good.
The uh, Mint and Way were the two finalists. It was a Project M tournament, and that was in I think September 2014, sometime around that.
Hmm.
So I went to that. I probably wasn't really properly playing at that point. I was more kind of like interested in the scene, and I guess I went to a tournament, I suppose. And then I'd say I think Smash 4 for 3DS and Wii U released, I think at the end of that year, I believe.
It
And
would have been
then
2014, yeah.
yeah, and then I'd say 2015 was probably when Apex was on, really dodgy Apex. I think it was like the last proper one they did. And that was probably the first tournament I properly watched live, I suppose. And then I'd say 2015, I was properly getting into mostly Smash 4 at the time, I'd say, just because it was the new game and it was a bit more accessible. Like playing Project M and then eventually Melee then as well, right later that year. Um, I
Very
guess
good.
in terms of TOing, again, I think 2015 is probably the first tournament I TO'd technically, because that was the UCD Vatican tournament. So that was kind of just more of a like I knew one of the organizer of Vatican, or like the guy who was kind of uh doing it. That was kind of a last minute thing. I had emails the main organizers I think a few weeks before, and then I thought, well, nothing's gonna come of it. And then but then a guy I actually knew well enough, he said, oh well, he's actually organizing most of it now because I know people pulled out or whatever. So he got back to me and said, "Oh, you." I think I just emailed saying, "Oh, I can do a Project M tournament," because by that time I think I was in the Facebook group at the time. I did know a few people, so I said, "Oh, I can get a few people to come to this if we throw it." And then, so I think I had like two Wii's and like again, there was no CRTs at the time really. We just had
Mm.
flat screen TVs. It's a standard. So, or like, it was kind of a mix. It was like some tournaments were proper CRTs and stuff, and then some were uh, just monitors or flat screen TVs.
Mixed bag,
Not,
yeah.
yeah, yeah. So, but yeah, we didn't know any better. It was and like, the scene in general was quite young at the time. Like before me, I think it was only maybe a year or two really for like proper Irish melee and Project and stuff. So, I think it was whatever we could get was done. So yeah, but like, that went well because they didn't have too much else going on. In fact, I guess fun fact, we did actually have. I don't know. The UCD has a different name for their con now because we did have Melee at the most recent one. I think Scott got on to me about it, and I can't take it right now, but it is. I can't remember what it's called now, but yeah, I know. Fun legacy though, I guess, to go back after
Yeah, I
a
think you're
lot of years
thinking
or so.
Pelican, is it?
That's the one. Yeah, yeah. Now it's all done, but. Same thing, really. It's just
Different
changed the name
name.
for. I'm sure they had their reasons.
Fair enough. No, I think that around 2014, when you're talking about that, was a big explosion. For players coming in. Obviously,
Yeah,
Minton Way even earlier than that, or at least seemed like it. But I was talking to Verdant Ashling recently, and she was saying how she was joining the scene about then as well, 2013,
yeah,
2014. So I think that was a big ramp up around that time. Very good. And yeah, just for the next question, kind of going into that seamlessly. In 2017, I was signing up for one of my first brackets on Stout GG, and I noticed your tag. It definitely caught me off guard. I have my blue Purcell right here.
oh, very nice. Yeah.
Yes. And it's been stuck in my mind ever since. So, like, where did you get your tag, and is there anything beyond the fact that it's just blue Purcell?
I think actually, I know Ryan Grant Dib does know this because I told them. Maybe some other people know, but I did play a bit of rugby back in school, believe it or not. But I
Pro
think
athlete, yeah.
the name didn't quite catch on, but one lad did um, call me Purcell, or he called me Purcell. He said I was small and mighty. Um, so
Brilliant.
I didn't really stick with me or anything like that. But then I think when I entered my first tournament, I just used my initials, and I think someone said that's fine, but you could do better or something like that or something. But I think I like my full middle. I had a middle name as well, and someone said, "Oh, it's just like letters on a screen, and it's not great for calling it a match and something like that." And then I was like, "Well, I'll just say person." I think I played Sonic and Smash 4 at the time, and I guess I also played Minart in Melee. Maybe I wasn't playing Melee at the time, but I don't know. I was playing Sonic and I thought, well, blue's a good color and Sonic's only colors are blue. So, yeah, I just said blue Purple then and then abbreviated BP if I was entering the time.
That's a great origin. I didn't know the small but mighty, but that's brilliant. Love to hear that. So I was actually going to ask, did you have any other tags before that? But you had your initials. Fair
Just my
enough.
initials, really. Yeah. Other than that, no other Smash tags.
No, glad that you changed it because it's definitely one of the more iconic ones in my view. I can put the Purcell away now. Actually, was running out of it myself, so I'm glad that I have it. I didn't just buy it for a prop. Yeah, so you mentioned your Sonic there. So you've been active in Melee, Project M or P Plus, and Smash 4 for years. I checked Super Major, like the kind of compilation app there for the results, which says you have only two Ultimate tournaments, and you had wins over VKC, Sam, and Fat
I
Rolls.
know, yeah.
Yeah. Why has the Ultimate scene not been blessed more by the Sonic? And in contrast, what kept you coming back to Melee for so long?
I think part of it was just different stages or different situation. Sonic was quite different between Smash 4 and Ultimate. Um, and the start of the game, I think people thought he was quite bad or not very good.
Hmm.
And I was not really getting used to, I don't know, how to, it's kind of like he's quite, well, he's the same but different. And then also, from what I remember, when I was playing it more, the engine itself is quite different to Smash 4. Again,
Hmm.
it's like the same but different as well. It's like not too different, but it's like a lot of the stuff that you would have been doing in Smash 4. So, I'm sure a lot of Smash 4 players say the same thing, where a lot of the way you used to play neutral is quite different, I think, in Ultimate.
Definitely. Yeah.
Um, so again, I don't know too much about Ultimate, and these days Sonic's considered quite a good character, but I think it was both that he was different, but also the fact that Melee was there and still going strong. Um, so if it was just Ultimate was the only available game, I think I would have learned to play Sonic better or learned another character and probably would have committed to it a bit more. But I think just the fact that Melee was more available, well, it was there and I could play it and still going strong and I wasn't in love with Ultimate and you know Same way where like I think when I played Smash 4, I guess it was just such a new thing and something worth learning. Probably didn't see the same with Ultimate, but I know I don't think these things are like too objective or like for certain. Like there's a scenario where I learned to love Ultimate as well. I think you can make yourself love a game if you play enough and compete enough in a way. But
Definitely.
at the time, you know, there was other games that were options, and I think I just dipped out of it.
Fair enough. Yeah, I'll move seamlessly on to the next one again. Legend has it that you got Smash 4 PR without having a Wii U. Is this actually true? And either way, how frequent was practice back then? Because we have, weekly practice, online practice now quite easily for Melee. And do you have any recommendations for people who can't play online or don't have a console? Anything like that?
It's kind of half true because I think for the first year or two we had a Wii U, but at some point we were doing like renovations in the house. So it basically meant a bunch of stuff went into storage. We might have actually sold a Wii U at that time as well. So I think like outside of first year, year and a half, maybe 2 years or something like that, I think it was like um didn't really have access to Wii U at home because we had like one TV at home, and that was like the living room, and like everything else was like under construction in our house here. So it was like no real room for kind of like I don't know, home console video game at the time, or like it wasn't really worth just kind of setting it up or something like that. And I don't know, we might have, can't remember if we did sell it or not or trade it in or something like that. But like there's a bunch of stuff in stores at the time. So there wasn't too many options. And then yeah, but like the thing is that like weekly practice was very prominent. So I think I used mainly the first uh like Smash 4 was like, Sonic and Smash 4 was the most technically combo intensive character. He's more based on the dribbling and stuff like that. So I think I kind of like had a very playstyle was kind of based around positioning more than anything else from what I remember, and more about like setting up like juggles and such like that.
Hmm.
And I guess also, yeah, I mean the big thing was that like we had weekly, like not weekly tournaments, but we had like I think we had like one midweek uh kind of like grind session at the XGC. And then on Saturdays, if there wasn't a big tournament on, we'd usually go to the XGC as well. And then might be like a small pay-in tournament or something like that, or maybe a free one or something like that. So there was good opportunities to play quite a good bit then as well. But yeah, I did watch a lot of videos then as well. I think the great Smash Four makes back there were like 6WX,
Hmm.
Ken, and Tomo Rikiri. There's probably another one in the US. Oh, Ixis, of course, as well in the
Exists
UK.
definitely, yeah.
And then, yeah, so there was a lot of good stuff to watch then as well. There's a lot of tournaments like on every weekend. But yeah, I was kind of like that. And I think the first time I kind of thought about like, I know, I think first thing I thought about like playstyle was kind of like thinking, how can I make stuff difficult for the opponent? And it has gone on for 10 years like that. But it's like, so I just kind of thought, well, just don't make this easy for the opponent, and then this will give you a leg up or leg in anyway, and then you can go from there. So
I can tell
you
you
don't have
that
to
you've
work well.
succeeded on that goal anyway,
Yeah,
especially in
yeah,
Melee.
that works. Yeah, it works across the board. Is the thing. Yeah, so
Fair
that's always a
enough.
good idea for players. Just don't make it easy for your opponent and make it as hard as possible.
Yeah. Oh, that's really good. That does actually lead very nicely onto the next one. I was going to say, yeah, you've been known to have a distinct play style. You know, Marath F Smash definitely coming up. Roll behind grab in Smash 4, for those who know.
Oh yeah.
Um, And maybe you can kind of talk back to the PM days, not P plus at that point. Do you take inspiration from any particular players?
Trying to think. Like Komo Kiri, I think in Smash 4 was probably the Sonic that I thought. You see, he never really got the best results, but I always feel like he was
He was
maybe
solid though.
yeah, he always looked like the way you should maybe play the character, which was like very, not, I wouldn't say honest in a way, but it was kind of like based on this like holding center stage and being quite reactive.
Hmm.
I think other songs on Washington looks really good as well. It didn't always like I think Ken in Smash 4 was better because I think he had better maybe just better S reads that was more explosive. But like I think Homework Area was kind of like the oh you could play this way and kind of hold center stage and all that.
Mm.
I think yes, like that was in Smash 4 definitely. I think watching him because I think he got to like some Japanese tournament and I think there's a few international players as well. So this guy won the first grand finals that like Sonic was doing well at, and you know the way it is with like Japanese players, where you're like, oh, they've shown us Westerners how to play the character, which I think happened in Smash 4 with like every character or something like that. Not always true, but you know, it was
It was the
kind of
narrative
like
for
seeing,
sure.
yeah, it was kind of like seeing a different world, and then you'd see, yeah, so you saw him, and then you're like, oh, this is how you could play the character. And I think that kind of like not committing too much and then kind of holding center stage and being reactive was always something I think tried to uh, replicate. But you know, obviously, I also have to go for the reads then as well. I think in Melee, I'm not sure if I really was inspired by any players, but like obviously there was a good marks back in the day, like Mewtwo King, BBMD. BBMD won Apex with March, which was like I think in some ways like the first big win for Major for March for a while in some ways.
Since Ken, maybe, yeah.
What yeah, like obviously Major King had some, but like I think at the time he hadn't won too many with all the gods attending. And then I guess PPMD coming out and winning it with March against I think Armada and Leffen's Foxes, you know. So
Hmm.
again, it wasn't really solo March, it was more like using Marth to beat um I think specifically Marth like Armada's Peach and then Leffen's Fox and such like that. So but you know, it was obviously kind of showing what the character would do. Obviously he has that great dash dance and I think a lot of Marth's kind of just tried to emulate that from then on. And then, yeah, I think obviously Music King was obviously a big inspiration. Well, you know, I guess obviously he had a really good Doc episode, and then I think he was playing so much back then as well that I think, you know, made Martin very cool.
Very
Not cool. Well, like in some ways cool, but like I guess he had a really good combo game, and you kind of go, oh yeah, it's doing that.
fair enough. No, that's very good. Very insightful. I'd be curious anyway later maybe to hear about the P plus that you would or PM that you would have seen at the time. But for now, well, I'll keep talking about the games themselves.
Yeah,
Yeah, actually, go ahead if you have
I
anything that
was
come to
just
mind.
gonna say, yeah, like I don't like I think Wizzy was maybe the prominent Sonic in 3.0 days. And I guess it's kind of hard to say because I think PM went from this kind of very active 3.0 scene to like a more still active but like not as prominent 3.5 scene, which kind of happened while I was really just starting to
Mm.
play. 3.5 was 2015, and then like do that stuff with Nintendo, which kind of shut them down, not quite, but like you know,
Put a damper on it for
lost a
sure.
lot of yeah, like lost a lot of wind out of their sails then. So I don't know if there was any player that inspired me other than like Wizzy was probably the first one that I saw like on YouTube clips and was kind of like, oh, you can play Sonic in this game. I think obviously I'd probably looked up competitive pro and like didn't see much Sonic or something like that. And then what you did see is not very. appealing. And then like it was kind of cool. Again, he was doing all kinds of BS in that game as well, in like
Hmm.
PM 3.0, because they were that was like I think homing attack. You could just keep looping it over and over. So there's like clips of Wizzy killing guys off the top with homing attack. I think maybe jump there or something like that. So all kinds of nonsense that wasn't really replicable later on, but um, yeah, there's definitely a few players in PM that like I think I saw on like Discord or something like that, but they've kind of gone out of my mind. So
That's okay. Maybe I'll post them anyway if you're able to get back to me on that. But no worries either way. In terms of like the tournament performances, you've been known as a gatekeeper across the different games. How many careers do you think you've held off, and for how long? Like, who's the longest career that you've held off before they beat you? And also, notably, I want to know how long did it take Dan Haunter to beat you?
I think Bush in Smash 4 has maybe never actually beaten me. I'm not
Really?
sure. Yeah, but like I think that was one of those. It's not maybe exactly fair because I was kind of winding down on Smash 4 a bit when he started to get better.
Hmm.
So I think it just meant that we were less and less likely to actually play each other. So I want to say I don't think he's ever beaten me. Kirby Kong has maybe beaten me like once or twice a week, like a few times, maybe a couple of times a weekly, but I can't remember. I think like for ages he didn't beat me
Hmm.
either. Uh, Anto like kept beating me at the end of the game, but like for ages, you know, could kind of struggled against me when he was playing like Meta Knight and something like that.
Back in
And I
those
never
days,
had much of
wow.
a chance. Yeah, yeah. It's only when you switch to a good character like Samus that he yeah, just a chance. Snook actually as well.
Hmm.
Again, because he was quite good at the end. Like he's quite good at his ultimate, and he's quite good. He was quite good at the end of Smash Four. But again, I don't think I ever lost to him for age in Smash Four, and he was playing like really early as well. I think we met in tournaments, and like he used to play like three different characters because I don't know he just couldn't figure out a pattern. I think that's the one in Smash Four. Melee, yeah, like um, yeah, Dan would have been one that didn't beat me for a good while there. In terms of ones that like never beat me or were held back for a long time, I'm trying to think, but none of them spring to mind right now.
Maybe some of the new gen
Uh,
players. Are there any that are still yet to take one off you?
yeah, I'm trying to think. Like I'm trying to think of ones that like maybe should have maybe taken a set or something like that.
Yeah.
Uh, I
Just say
can't
Dan.
think
You can
of
just go with it.
but Dan is yeah, journalist. But thing is, I'm sure I'm going to think of someone. Oh, Cranion actually. Cranion, they definitely should have actually beaten me. Well, maybe not should have, but like they have gotten close a good few times. One time, I think we were game three or game five or something like that. They SD'd the first stop. They popped off. And I was thinking, oh, well, you're going to
Popped
win
off
this.
before the game ended. You don't do
But they,
that.
well, no, they popped off for an SD, and I was thinking, no, you can't be popping on for that. So, okay, so I thought that afterwards.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think I clutched that out, and they, obviously huge advantage for Mark versus the game much, but I do think they are. Yeah, actually, Ray 64 cool. I actually used to beat her quite. Oh yeah, Italian Stallion actually. Two Luigi's actually. I
Oh.
used to beat. Yeah,
Yeah.
Italian Stallion's probably the most novel one. I didn't drop like a set to his Luigi for like I think about a year or so. We played like three times, and like he used to go like Falco a few times. I think her
I
first
remember
set he played
that.
like
Yes.
yeah, or like yeah, first set he played like Captain Falcons. It was going so bad with Luigi that he I know was completely opposed. And then eventually he has beaten me, I think once or twice since then. I think the first time he did beat me, I think I think it was 3-1, but I think he was quite relieved then. He was like, I think PR'd at the time or like considered top 10-ish or
He
something like
did
that.
get
So
top 10 in 20, for the 2024 year anyway, so that's
yeah,
possibly
so I
it.
think so I think that was probably the best player that I had not lost to, and probably was a kind of so I didn't really gatekeep him, but maybe like
For a while.
he probably but it was probably like he was probably thinking, well, that's someone I should, you know, I'm sure he was itching to get another shot against me then. Yeah.
Fair
So
enough.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's very similar.
Okay, we'll just go with Dan. Yeah, that's grand. Um, that's brilliant stuff. I feel like I've gotten to know a few things I didn't know already going into this. That's brilliant. I want to ask some questions more surrounding tournaments rather than yourself, but obviously involving you. So the Impact Series, XGC, both one and two, Crackdown, Thomas House Melee Mondays are just some of the tournament series that you're involved in as a TO. Are there any series from the past that you wish were still ongoing, and what made them so special?
Um, I don't think there's like obviously I think every single one is kind of worth it. Like everyone has its own appeal. Like XGC 1.0, the XGC venue itself, really bad, but very convenient for Smash Bros and Melee on FGC stuff and all that. So it's like you kind of miss maybe that kind of venue. I don't know how viable it was, probably not very, but yeah, it's kind of maybe a shame that it doesn't. I don't know. It's kind of like it was. I think when I started, I was kind of like surprised that something like that existed, which was just like you could rent some TVs, or it was like an internet cafe. You could rent TVs or video game consoles upstairs,
Hmm.
and I was kind of like surprised that it existed in town because I hadn't really seen something like that. Like, turned out maybe there was a reason, but
Yeah.
um, yeah, kind of maybe a shame that there's not something like that. I guess obviously Thomas House was a very nice venue. We had a few with the FCC like Wigwam as well, which was we actually I think we went there after one or two tournaments. Maybe the last Turf Four, or maybe went there after something like. But still, very nice bar. Um, I don't really have I don't have any kind of feelings of you know, the Impact series or whatever, because I guess I know it's you look back in some ways quite, uh, I guess with nostalgia, but I guess ultimately whatever replaced it is kind of still just doing the same thing. But I
Yeah.
guess you do look at back at it, it's like maybe a different stage in the scene in your own playing. I don't want to call it career, but I guess maybe for lack of a better word, we will.
Yeah, it's still a
But
career. Yeah.
yeah, but I guess you kind of have maybe. I guess we had like the road to Celtic Throwdown and stuff like that, which was maybe the first few tournaments, which is like I guess you're just uh, optimistic and young. Well, not really not optimistic, but like everything's so new that I guess every tournament is kind of like this full of possibilities, and you win one set, and you're over the moon. And then I guess maybe I kind of think of like maybe the impact, which is like can't remember. I was probably doing a bit of T.O.ing or whatever like that. But remember, like the impact was, I think one of the impacts was when we switched from PAL to NTSC, or we had our first NTSC tournament. That maybe sticks out a bit. I think we were also switching to UCF at the time. Um, and then Thomas House, I think, was originally started by Rue. And then when he went to England for a bit, like that's something I started doing. Um, So yeah, there's I know like you look back as kind of like maybe nostalgia or affection for that stage, but I don't necessarily think of it in terms of like the series. But yeah, I know it's still like cool to look back at like Schism as like the first big Irish tournament then as well, being like you know this can be thrown, we can do this and all that, and people will love it, and first one was done in the Academy Plaza hotel basement, which
Hmm.
was wild in a lot of ways. But
That's a
yeah,
monthly now, you know. That's
yeah, yeah. Well, like I think there was like 100 people or
full
something
enough,
there.
yeah.
Yeah, I don't know how it was happened. Yeah. Anyway,
Fair enough. It sounds like you're of the mindset that, it's great to look back on these, but there's nothing inherently better about those tournament series as long as we keep chugging along, and the things that make it special are like your memories there rather than
yeah,
the tournament series itself.
yeah. The novelty is nice, but it's like if you did another Impact today, well, it's still just the
Would it be
same.
Crackdown
It
23? Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, it's just a Dublin monthly now, which is, still good, but it doesn't necessarily change. It's yeah, it's what it's in.
Yeah, that's fair enough. I think one thing that I would like to point out, because some people will never experience this, the absolute joy of getting to see your name on the top 8 leaderboard for Road to Celtic Throwdown as a new player. That is what I thought of
Yeah,
as soon as you mentioned it.
yeah. I remember, yeah, like we were chasing, like we were, there was like a leaderboard, which is like, I don't know, maybe that is something we could do, but I don't know how we'd do it these days. But it was like a kind of cool. I don't think it even mattered at the end of the day because I think they said they were going to use it for seeding, but then like I
It
think
didn't make
me,
sense for seeding
well,
anyway.
yeah, maybe me and one or two other Dublin players had like way more attendances than other people. So once we kept getting top 8, it kind of meant we were going to be in like the top 5 or something of the seeding, which wouldn't make sense for anyone really.
Hmm.
Um, and then, um, so yeah, but like, yeah, that was cool seeing the leaderboard, but also I'm not really sure what you could functionally use the leaderboard for exactly, because if you do use a proceeding, it just kind of messes stuff up, unfortunately.
Yeah, might be fun to get like an Ami's leaderboard going because I remember, I think it meant a lot more to me as someone who was in my first year at the time looking at that, or first couple of
Yeah,
years, compared to because I saw my name pop up at like fifth after getting pretty decent results at one tournament. I upset one PR player, and I was like, "This is my life now." It's worth thinking about. But yeah, as long as the function of the tournament is being served, we'll look back with fond memories of the other ones. But I guess it's a good sign now that a Dublin monthly is more of a mundane thing rather than this.
yeah,
We had a bi-monthly back then for Impact, and the fact that we can eclipse that every month is pretty cool.
yeah, that's it. And it's like, um, yeah, I guess the more consistent stuff is maybe not as exciting, but like it's like it's a lot better. Like I think it ultimately is, last few years anyway, it does seem to be the best it's been. I think for Smash in Ireland, Dublin in
Definitely
general.
for melee, yeah, I would say so.
But yeah, melee, yeah. But yeah, all seems to be going well.
Very good. You've come in and clutch a number of times for the scene, especially in terms of equipment. How did you get your hands on the Wii's and the CRTs? And do you have any advice for newer TOs about buying equipment, storing it, and transporting it?
So yeah, kind of some of the stuff is over the years. Like a lot of like some of the CRTs and Wii's were kind of um like it's probably harder to do now. And well, I don't know, some things are harder to do now. Like some of the CRTs were bought by Ulton and kept at the Thomas House. Well, like they're kept at like the XGC and then I think the Black Sheep and the Thomas House. And then during COVID they closed for renovations. And then I picked up most of those. I still have like one really big one that I can't bring myself to get rid of, but it's also too big to bring to tournaments, practically speaking. And then a good few, like I was thinking the other day of like the DVDs I bought. I think I bought a good few off adverts. I got like two of them in a charity shop, which I never see these days, so that's not too helpful. And then there's like a I think it's called a vintage or a retro shop in Dublin, it's just off Capel Street, and I bought like one or two there then as well. Um, they're cheap enough back in the day. I think you get it for like €20 maybe, or 15 or €20, or maybe €30 or something like that, depending on where they were. And I think I've bought a few more of adverts since then. Um, and then like a lot of the Wii's, I think were also, I think I provided like maybe three or four of them. And again, I think Olsen bought a good few of them as well. Um, so some of them do kind of tell stories because like I don't know, sometimes have like not weird homebrew setups, but like whatever way they were set up. I think Paddy from Newry might have had some of these setups as well. So that's like one of the earliest tournament series then as well, the guard breaker ones.
Oh yeah,
And then yeah, so like I don't know, I'm sure some of these I haven't seen the rounds, but I think he gave those to Olton or at some point, I think. And then yeah, so they've kind of ended up with us then eventually. But yeah, I don't know. I think in terms of uh, like in terms of equipment, I just keep them under the uh, rafters here in my bedroom, which is a bit of a hassle to get out every time, but like it's fair. Most of it's fairly out of sight anyway, which is handy. So I don't know. You just how much advantage there. And
that's handy.
then both parents have always been happy to give me a hand if needed, I guess, to move stuff around. I also have two big rucksack bags that I bring to the weekends.
Yeah,
So I, don't know, I guess in terms of, I know, I guess I'm kind of lucky in some ways because I guess a lot of circumstances that wouldn't be in my control, you know, even just where, like being in Dublin, I guess, is one factor then as well, I guess.
yeah,
But I guess, yeah, I guess in terms of adverts, if you're ever searching for CRTs, I think that or Facebook Marketplace are always good options. Just kind of have to keep, because I think sometimes you get like a lot of kind of rip off prices or people looking to, I don't know, get rid of not great equipment or something like that. You just keep an eye out, then you will see like decent deals. I think I got one maybe like a few months ago for like 20 or €30 or something like that. So yeah, you'll always kind of see deals if you just keep looking, I suppose. Yeah, obviously it's easier being in Dublin, I think, just because you've got more people in a greater area to buy from if needed. But yeah, I don't know.
that's fair.
Um,
Just keeping an eye out sounds like half the battle anyway.
yeah, yeah. I guess yeah. If you're willing to like, uh, I guess if you're willing to hold on to stuff for like, or bring stuff to tournaments, I guess that's maybe half the battle. Like I think if you're talking about like prospective TOs, I think one of the first things you can do is just make yourself useful. So I think I did used to bring like a flat screen to like Smash 4 tournaments. And I also brought like I think often two Wii's to like melee tournaments as well. And then when we started actually with like doing melee regularly at the XGC, I think I had I think I had a cousin's Wii or something like that. And someone else I found like the Wii off quite cheap, and then like so like I had two that I didn't need to keep at home or whatever like that weren't mine, and so I think I said, well, we can just keep these here, and then like we put like boot me or preloader on them so that we could just start them straight away. So like I know if like I guess if I was going to give advice to the others, just maybe to I guess familiarize yourself with like some of the equipment, but also just make yourself useful, and people come to rely on you, better or worse at.
Fair enough. Just have a bit of floor space for the CRT and show up with it is probably
Yeah,
most of it.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Fair enough. All right. We were talking about the past series there, and you said it's pretty subjective, but that's what I want to hear about. You've been about to see quite a few eras of Irish Melee. Is there any period that you look back fondly on, and what made that special? Is there anything we can learn from that period today?
I guess at the top level, I think obviously when Mint and Maxi were at their best, it was maybe the best like storylines, I suppose, because you kind of had this, like they were both traveling a good bit, and then I remember watching Maxi like the UK tournaments, and um, he was like the most stressful player to watch ever because he often just camp like frenzy out and then like the games would go on for ages or something like that. This was before like electrical limits as well, so Max would often abuse that fact.
That's good.
But
Yeah.
yeah, I think both of them doing really well was always hype to see, I suppose. Um, I think Air, the one Air I went to, I think that was Air 5. That's one Maxi won the contract in. But I think both him and Mitt were competing. I think Mitt lost to Sachi, but Maxi beat Sachi in the final then, and we all ran over and I know smothered him probably, but or crushed him. But that was pretty hype, I guess. Just when they both of them were doing really well. And then I guess yeah, like Maxi kind of kept getting closer and closer. Maybe he did eventually get a few cents off Mint. Uh, Unfortunately, he's always had to deal with some Irish fox being
Yeah.
in his way the
Some
whole
Tyrone
time.
Fox. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, very specifically some fox from Tyrone for some reason.
Something in the
Um,
water.
yeah, I don't know what the lesson is. I guess
Travel
you'd almost
more,
have
I
to.
would say,
Yeah,
so we can
I guess
watch from
so.
home.
Yeah, yeah, that's it. It's great fun to watch. Yeah, it's always great to see when Fergie does decently well. I don't know if he's really he had like yeah, no, he's had a few good international ones, hasn't he, in the UK and such.
Yeah.
The ones I think he's gone to in the US or something, they're being like it's always looked like at home, but I feel like he always maybe has potential to I don't know do a little bit better or like get into that like top 64 range or something. But yeah,
Yeah.
I guess that would be cool to watch. Yeah, I think they're all
Yeah.
pretty good.
I think Froggy's making the push for more Irish players to go abroad, which hopefully
Mm.
we'll see. It's good that he's leading the push anyway. And I know that maybe the rivalry isn't as close now, but Maxi recently, getting a set off of Froggy at at Give Her Plenty was super cool.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
yeah, no, really good stuff there. So yeah, I guess the thing we want to see is more spectacle, more storylines, which I guess with the higher number of players than ever we're going to be getting anyway. So I think today's a pretty good era, and we're going to look back on it very, very fondly. Um, but speaking of kind of sets, I was lucky enough to watch BP versus S2J live at Schism 2. I want you to pick out two of your favorite Irish sets, one that you played in and one that you didn't.
Yeah. I think in terms of ones I played in, there was, I think, one. I just to be modest, I think one that I lost. There was Blood for the Blood God. I think it was me against Dan, and
Mm-hmm.
he did beat me. It was like game five, and kind of still remember that like there was some edge card where I can't remember what I did, but I think I got stuck between just smashing or going on stage. I could have done either or, and I probably just kind of got stuck and didn't do whatever the right thing was, or like could have done something good. So I was kind of thinking, I don't know, it kind of sticking out was like I think I had the last stock and I didn't quite take it. But like what I remember about was that like I think that was the qualifier for like the top eight, and there was like everyone was watching that. It was like in the basement of this pub. So um So yeah, in the basement of Thomas' house. Like so I remember that one just because I think it just felt like the whole like 20 people or something like that. It was like everyone's watching it. Um, I don't know. I think that's one of the cool things about Melee that I think we give importance to like what we know are going to be close sets or close rivalries. So I think that's always worth remembering anyway. But you know, even though it was like, I think whoever won was almost certainly going to lose their next set anyway. But it's like, oh, but this set means, you know, it means something to both of us. So then it means something to everyone else. So I think that's a
That's brilliant.
cool one. Um, I did mention that one match against Sachi, which was probably does stand out as like um, just kind of was nice to go to a tournament. Like it wasn't like the prep for a tournament. It was like the contract, which was like, which it was kind of a bigger deal in some ways because it was like if you won that, I think you got sponsored for like European tournaments, or to travel to European tournaments for the next year or something like that. Like you know, certain amount, but like it was obviously a huge deal for Max to win that. It was
Hmm.
like that was cool to watch and see him like succeed there. Um, I think the other set that would stick out was Schism 1, which is Mint against Prof, where he took the first set. And it was really good atmosphere there. Shylock definitely rivaled it, at least, or was probably a bit like that Shylock, where it was like just so loud in this really enclosed space. Uh, and yeah, so I know those two definitely stick out. It's just like really good atmosphere and just everyone going mad, I think.
Sounds like the things that make the sets important are, first of all, what it means to the players, but second of all, the crowd seems to be an important part for you there, or it seems to be at least an overriding
Yeah, I
theme.
think so. Yeah.
Very good. Yeah, I would have to nominate for myself specifically the first four games of Mint versus Lucky at Schism. Was it two or three? I forget which one.
Yeah, that was a real good one as well. Yeah.
That one was brilliant. I don't think I got to watch that live. I was busy with the other games, but I did watch it afterwards, and it
Yeah.
looked so
I think I
good.
went up yeah, I think I was T.O.ing Smash 4 Ultimate or something, and then I
It would
went
have
upstairs.
been Yeah, it would have been Schism 3 because Melee was
Yeah.
upstairs, and that would have been Schism
Yeah, I
3.
think Ultimate's doing really well. Or like not sign-ups,
It was
but
a
like yeah,
couple
I think I
months old, yeah.
yeah, so I think I went upstairs to watch and it was just like oh, yeah, the whole room was shaking and yeah, but it went last stop.
Very good. No, those are brilliant sets. Thank you for sharing those. I'm gonna have to watch Maxi Sachi because I don't think I watched it ever fully, but I do know that it happened a bit
I
before
don't
my
know if
time.
it's a good set, but it's like it
What
was.
it
Yeah, I
meant.
mean Maxi. Yeah, that's what I mean. I don't know how like close it was or whatever. I think just the fact that he won, and like Maxi's always good to watch. Good to see was landing all kinds of rests
Hmm.
that they didn't really know how to deal with in Europe at the time.
Still don't. That's
And
good.
yeah, well, they still do. But like, yeah, it was very like everyone would play him, and they would be like, "There's this like Jigglypuff that's doing stuff that HMX never does. Maybe still doesn't in some ways, but like he is a bit better now. But like you know, everyone's like, oh, there's this crazy Jigglypuff that's like doing shield gap rests and all that. Like,
Hmm.
whoa, crazy.
Fair enough. Okay, back to the, you know, tournament organizing side. In my mind, you're one of the most important figures in Irish Melee, especially in Leinster. Not because you run these big spectacular events, but because you facilitate these regular events like the heartbeat of the scene. You know, XGC 2.0 and Crackdown are the ones that I'd be attending, and they rely on you for Melee. What motivates you as a TO to show up and do the often annoying work of transporting equipment, setting it up each month, and not asking for anything in return?
Yeah, I think like part of it is just you get used to it. I guess you kind of have to get into a sort of um. I guess one thing to say to everyone is like if you enjoy playing Melee or Smash, I'm not saying you have to TO or something, but you should maybe think about what can you give back to the. Not, again, I don't want to say like give back to the team, but like I guess part of the way I think about it is kind of like, well, if I want to play, I guess someone will have to do some of this stuff and not everything. Like, you know, it's like you're saying, I'm more of a workhorse, if you will. Like there's a lot of other TOs who are more about making, like you can do like all kinds of stuff. Like there's other people who are maybe better at like starting new series and stuff like that, or like like stuff with Shylock, which is like a very different thing, which is like getting international players to come to Ireland. You really have to sell it then, I suppose. But like there's all kinds of, and like I think back to Schism days where like we had lads who were like organizing a night out, after the Saturday or something like that, or the Friday, and that's kind of also something you can do, I suppose. So it's like, it does take a village, I suppose, in a sense. Like it takes a lot of work from everyone. But like I've always kind of thought of it like, um, if you want to play, I guess you may as well do it then, I suppose. So it's not like a huge ideological thing, but and like a lot of TOs, you kind of just end up, again, I wouldn't say stuck with it, but like
It has to be done
it kind
by
of,
someone.
yeah, it has to be done. It kind of falls into your lap by accident sometimes then as well. And again, it's not like eternal either. Like after COVID, Rue was doing a lot of stuff with BYOBs and all that, and like so he was handling most of it then. I didn't actually play that much like during COVID, and then like probably took a bit of time to get back. Well, like get back properly playing tournaments and stuff like that. Then so um, it's like it's many work from everyone, but like I guess it's always worth thinking if you enjoy playing any of the games, you should maybe think what again, it doesn't need to be like the biggest thing ever, but it can always be like I know it can even be like bring like we don't need people to bring setups to most tournaments, but like that's something you can always that's very like how a lot of people start, I think, as well. It's just people they end up bringing a setup and like I said, you become reliable and that's kind of maybe the one of the big motivators maybe that you just kind of think if it yeah, like you're saying, if it has to be done, I guess you end up doing it then, and becomes kind of routine then.
That's fair
Such.
enough. Yeah, it sounds like you're of the philosophy that if you want to play the game, you gotta facilitate that. One thing that I was talking about with Vince in the last one of these was that idea that he brought up that people need to stop treating events as customers and start treating them as community members. And I think that that kind of leans into this where it's like, yeah, if you want the event to run, you are part of it. Obviously, a grace period for new players, but if you're showing
Yeah,
up, like for me, I will help by shouting at people to play their sets, and I will report the scores. It's not the biggest
yeah,
thing, but it's the type of thing that means not everything goes to the one or two TOs that are running that game that day.
yeah. That's it. Like, there was like, yeah, I completely agree with Vince. Where it's like events are you're not necessarily the customer at events. You're more like part of the community. I think one of the cool things about uh the Smash community is that like there's not a lot like it's there's not a lot of money being made by anyone in general. If like players are winning tournaments, but it's not a huge amount that are getting out. And again, if they're doing well, they're probably like Froggy, traveling abroad then and such like that. So it's not like you're getting that much money out of it. And like that's kind of true across the board. It's like nobody's kind of, whatever money comes into it usually gets reinvested back in the scene in some way or
Mm-hmm.
other. With like other costs that kind of come up, and like very few people are going to go positive really in that sense. So it's kind of cool as a sort of like it's kind of hard to explain to people why you go to tournaments or help organize them because you'd say, well, you're obviously not really getting any financial incentive out of it, but like you kind of say you do it because like you enjoy it, you love it, stuff like that, and like it's cool that like across the country there's people who put in the work just to see something uh, get done and be successful, and it's just to like it's in the world where like everything is quite commercial and profit driven, it's nice to have this thing where nobody's really motivated by that. Really, it's just about getting a good event done or getting like the scene good place then. Um, yeah, so yeah, I'd agree with things like that. Where like yeah, it's kind of always worth seeing yourself as like uh, yeah, more part of the community than like a paying customer. So it's
Very good. We'll end it, I guess, with more of a call to action then, just to really solidify it. I know you would have answered on some of these, but just to ask the full question, a lot of people, including myself, rely on people like you to own the equipment to transport, set it up, tear it down, and then store it. What can the average tournament goer do to help TOs? Like, what would be the biggest relief, or what's the biggest gap that you think needs filled?
show up on time to your sets, especially if you live in Dublin and you're going to a tournament in Dublin. There's definitely some people who, I don't mind leeway with you're traveling like 2 hours on a bus, but there's definitely people who are like living in Dublin and like show up half an hour late, so they could definitely be a bit more on time. There's
Preach.
definitely, yeah, there's definitely some new players. Now they're getting better, but like, there's sometimes I forget myself because I kind of uh, I start off with thinking everyone's going to a tournament, everyone knows what the deal is, everyone knows how round robin pools works. Sometimes the newer players don't always know that, so you kind of have to uh, tell them to keep playing their sets and such like that. So, but again, it's not exactly their fault. It's just a case of learning and such like that. But yeah, I guess playing your sets, showing up on time, and making sure you're just keep playing your sets as good as possible. Always make a TO or a TO's headache a bit easier. But otherwise, yeah, I guess people have to sign up early as well because I likes to see, you know, it's easier to plan for, I suppose, as well if you sign up so much double on the last day. And then you can obviously everyone wants to see like sign-ups for events, and then like I'm bad for this as well because sometimes I'll like wait 2 days before, so we could all be a bit better in that sense.
Fair enough.
Registering early can always helps. If you're planning on going, may as well just register early. And if you need to get refunds, I'm sure you usually sort out too much hassles.
Very good. So yeah, show up on time, communicate, play all your sets, and sign up early. I think are the calls to action there. The thing I'll always give people advice for is if you see a TO that's very busy around lunchtime, ask them if you want to pick them up food. Say I'm going down to McDonald's or whatever. What you want, or Burger King, wherever you're going. That's always my go-to. But otherwise, yeah, very solid advice. I think that's it for the questions. I just want to ask if there's anyone you want to shout out.
Um, yeah, I guess like I think everyone it seems pretty decent. I guess yeah, like I did mention, I guess my Kenyan, Paddy from Firebreaker, Rue, Bolton obviously I suppose as well, Josh, Brogue, like even like some of the guys back in the day like Ash, we like I was saying organizing nights out and stuff like that skills. But like like the guys have listed there, but there's so many there, John T, Anto as well. Like people who have like organized tournaments back in the day who maybe aren't active now, and like I guess some see kind of you're won't say it's like standing on the shoulders of giants, but like the scene is kind of like it's it's kind of like it's like the ship of Theseus, I suppose. It just keeps going. But even though like some of these players are Ultimate is still active, but like some of these people aren't active or they aren't like as present as they used to be and such like that. Or on the Irish scene anyway. But like it's all kind of again, I'm probably missing like half the people there as well. There's something more that I can't think of right now, but like there's like yeah, I know, just a case of like just people who like everything's just a continuation of what came before, I suppose. And no, that's kind of nice to. So,
Fair enough. I'll also thank Vince and Alton myself because they helped me out with the questions. So,
yeah, yeah. Vince,
uh,
well, yeah, Vince is huge for more the old scene, but like I think also like incorporating melee into like going forward then as well. And it's like I think Vince would be a big I know champion of what's good for one scene is good for the other, despite what melee people might think, certain melee people might say sometimes. But like, yeah, in general, what's been good for Smash 4 and Ultimate has been good for melee and vice versa as well. And like, I think, I guess obviously, I think melee is maybe more has so much of the structure I think in place, whereas like but you get such a good player base then as well from like the other games, so it all works pretty well ultimately.
yeah, shout out to Vince. Um, Speaking of Vince, because I had him on the last interview, anyone that you'd like to see on the next interview?
I guess I guess I'm thinking of Anto. Obviously, it's
Hmm.
like obviously he's been a TO and player, and like he's basically been unseen as long as I have. I think he started with Erdogan around the same time. I don't know, have you done Olsen yet? I guess.
No, just you and Vince. You're number two.
Oh, really? Oh, well, then I think there's loads. I guess
Yeah.
Anto, Olsen, Rue, uh, Greg would probably be a good one then as well. It's maybe he's not as long term, but I think he's also an important part of Irish melee then as well. Because I guess well for me, I guess personally, because I guess Crackdown is kind of uh, you know he obviously had a big start on that. Yeah, I know off the top of my head, so it'd be maybe some of them.
Very good.
Oh, Ashling, I suppose as well would be a good one because I guess she's someone who started around the same time and probably has a lot of stories to tell. I think she had that one against Magi where she got it was like one of the XQC ones. I think maybe what do we call it? We call it Tyrannus and Ash, but then we're also not meant to call it that because we
Oh,
kind of get.
yes.
But like she got like she was against Magi. It was like a third place playoff, which you're not meant to do actually. You should have top three or something at pools ideally, but maybe we did do that, but maybe it still turned into a three-way playoff. But it was like I think Magic was playing Fox. Yeah, all time weird stuff back then. Magic was playing Fox, and then they kept bringing her to FD, which is what you're meant to do. But then she kept getting like four rests every set or something, or every game or something. But yeah, I think she'd be a good one to interview them. So I think,
Okay, lots of good names there. I just want to talk to everyone because, like, the whole point of this
yeah,
is
yeah,
I just want
yeah,
to hear everyone talk. I want to listen to it, and no one else has made it, so that's why I'm doing it. Um, yeah, I think that I might be getting Josh at some point up soon. I want to
oh
talk to
yeah,
Bev.
he'd be
There's
great as
so
well.
many
Yeah,
people. It's too many.
yeah,
Call to action. If anyone else out there wants to do the interviews instead, please do. I just want to hear people talk. Speaking of people talking, thank you so much for your time. It's been an absolute pleasure.
yeah. Thanks very much, John. That's good fun.
All right, I'll hit stop now.